I'd say it's pretty hard to beat beets. Raw or cooked, the bulbous taproot of the beet plant, as well as those delicious edible green leaves, are one of the joys in a backyard garden. In recent times, however, the seeds have gotten quite expensive, especially for how little you get in a package. There has to be a better way. Fortunately for us, saving our own beet seeds is relatively easy. I say relatively because it's a little more involved, both with time and process, than our typical seed-saving crops. It's messy and it takes a long time, but it's nothing we can't handle. So today, let's go over all the steps that we need to know to save our own beet seeds, ensuring that we never have to buy beets or their seeds ever again. Make no mistake, beets are super nutritious. Although relatively sweet, they don't have an excessive amount of sugars. Consisting of roughly 10% carbs and 2% protein, beets are an excellent source of folates, vitamin B, vitamin C, iron, manganese, and even potassium. And like we mentioned, even though the taproot is the main purpose of the crop, the leaves are totally edible. They're delicious, raw or cooked. As with most crops, to get the best viable seed, we must first grow the best plants. Beet plants grow to their full potential in a rich, loamy, slightly acidic, well-drained soil. And, like most root crops, beets need a loose mix, free of debris or impediments. For nutrients, this is one crop that really needs a balanced diet. Too heavy on the nitrogen may give you lush, spectacular foliage, but your root harvest may indeed suffer. Always go balanced with these guys, and include some trace minerals and elements. Your beets are going to be far healthier, and so will you. For planting, beets are almost always direct seeded. However, unlike carrots and lettuces that require high germination temperatures and surface sowing, beets can be planted a little bit deeper at around 1/2 inch, and they can also take much cooler temperatures. This means that you'll be able to get your beets in the ground sooner in the spring, as well as again later in the summer, making them quite a versatile plant. Most varieties are a 60 to 70 day crop, and being quite hardy, they can be collected even when the ground is totally frozen. Okay, we know how to get the best beets. Awesome. But how do we get the plants to this point where we can actually collect some seeds? As we've seen in my other seed collecting videos, getting the seeds at the end of the crop's life is easy. Wait for the ripe fruit, dry the seeds, and then store them. It's an easy process without any extra work. Collecting viable seed at the end of the crop's life is normally pretty easy, because most of our crops, like these peas here, are annuals. They live, they grow, they flower, they produce seed, all in a single season. On the other hand, beets are a little trickier. They're what's known as biennials, plants that take 2 growing seasons to flower and produce viable seed. These kind of plants need a winter chilling period, known as vernalization, to stimulate and trigger them into a flowering cycle. So, planted in the fall, the beets sprout up quickly, cotyledons first, followed by true leaves within a week. If you're growing beets purely for seed, try to sprout them about a month before your first frost date. This way, you're not tying up that bed space all summer long, and you're giving them the best chance to get established so that they can survive the winter. After the spring thaw, those beet plants are going to continue to grow with gusto. But you're going to notice something different. You'll notice that no bulbs begin to form. At this point, you know that the flowers are imminent. Soon after the second growing season has started, the maturing beet plants will send up a noticeably thicker, taller stem. This is the flower stalk. The flowers themselves soon appear, and they're known as interrupted inflorescence. The clusters of flowers, and thus eventually the seed, on each individual stalk can number in the dozens or even hundreds. Not to mention, beet seeds are known as multi-germs. That is, each seed is actually a cluster of seeds. So, you can see quite quickly that you don't need very many seed plants to collect a boatload of seeds. This is good and somewhat necessary to making this whole endeavor worthwhile. Saving beet seeds is a 2-year process with some rather large opportunity costs associated with it. Going through all the effort of planting beets and receiving no crop in return, as well as forgoing 2 seasons in a given area, is a pretty hard pill to swallow. Fortunately, being able to plant the beets so late in the season and having them be so seed prolific does mitigate some of these hindrances. Okay, back to the seeds. Pollination is almost exclusively wind and insect aided, so don't rely on any self-fertilization. And because of this, if you're working with multiple varieties of beets, or if you have some Swiss chard going to seed nearby, watch out. Cross-pollination with these guys is a definite possibility. Once the flowers are fully pollinated, they drop off pretty quickly, and you're left with green seed clusters that look like this. And it's now that the race begins to dry these guys out. You want them to dry and cure on the plant for as long as possible. However, you gotta remove them before any rains come. Once they turn a light brown with absolutely no green color left, you're safe to cut them off. You want to do this before any of those fall rains because saving wet beet seeds successfully is nearly impossible. After collecting, dry the seeds off indoors for an additional 2 weeks. You really want to get these guys good and crisp. Once fully dry, pop off the individual clusters of seeds by simply running your hand down or agitating that seed stalk. They fall off pretty easy. Next, place the fully dried seeds in an envelope, deli cup, or a glass jar. Keep them in a cool, dark, dry location for maximum storage. As robust and vigorous as beets are, the seeds don't last forever. Expect about 4 years of storage before you start running into some viability issues. This means you're going to want to plan and plant your seed beet crops accordingly. It may not be wise to store tens of thousands of seeds, knowing that you're not going to be able to use them all. Just because they're easy to grow and eventually collect the seeds, doesn't mean you should be collecting more than you can reliably use. Remember, it's going to take up bed space for 1 to 2 seasons, so don't do too many if you don't have to. No question, beets are an extremely versatile crop, with the entire plant being edible. Couple this with them being so hardy and productive, you can see why growing beets is so popular. And now, being fully self-sufficient and collecting your own seeds means beets just became that much better. Hey, happy beet seed collecting, guys, and I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. I appreciate the support more than you know. And if you're getting value from these videos, please like and share them to spread the word and help your fellow gardener to grow better.